Hooday, Bengal fans. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. I am Jake. That is Eric. And 3, 2, 1. There he is, Mon, with his Edmonton Oilers jersey. It's hockey season. Listen, I am already missing football. For everybody watching out there, just let me tell you how my day goes now. It's either text messages about hockey or NBA. That's what I get from Eric and Mon and Ace and Zim. It's either NBA, which I have no idea about any of that, and hockey, which I know about zero about. So I'm excited about the baseball season starting up in the Reds because at least Mon and I can talk Reds baseball. But right now, guys, I'm in limbo. I am in limbo.
No, you're not. You're watching the Timberwolves. We know it.
I have Eric is working on making my son and I Timberwolves fans. So we have been watching the Timberwolves the last couple nights. Yeah, my son's a big Michael Jordan fan. So there you go. But
best to watch Anthony Edwards. He's the next Jordan.
Well, we are here to talk about our Cincinnati Bengals and some moves that have happened. Obviously, one that we knew was coming down the road, guys, and one maybe one that we didn't. We're going to talk about all of that tonight. Want to thank everybody for joining us. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Hooday to everybody out there on this special edition of the Bengals Pulse. Mom, before we get started, buddy, how you doing?
Doing good. I'm excited to talk about Al Golden and figuring out who's going to be who he's going to hire for his defensive staff. Just want to share a quick story about this jersey. I bought this last year before Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, and they lost that game. They lost to the Panthers, and I haven't worn it. I have never worn this. This is the first time I've worn this jersey
on the Bengals Pulse.
Yes, I cut the tags off. First time I've worn it. They're playing Vancouver tonight. Their arch rival. It's going to be a nasty game. But, it's going to be positive mojo. I might wear this during the Bengal Pulse during the season because they're a good hockey team and we got a good football team coming up. But let's talk about Al Golden and his hire. It's interesting. I got some takes. You got takes. We all got takes. So let's go.
It's going to be interesting. Eric, before we do, buddy, how you doing?
Crazy week here in Florida. I mean, crazy week all around.
Right.
Snowing in Florida. People
right.
in the Panhandle are making snowmen. It's cold down here. It feels like we're up in Cincinnati in December watching the Broncos game. It's just strange times. And then I'm a big conspiracy guy. Don't tell me a cool conspiracy without me going down the rabbit hole. I think that we're finally going to get to the bottom of this Chiefs thing because they just signed an executive order today to release all the JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King classified documents. And I know somewhere in there is the answer to why the Chiefs are getting all these calls. So I'm very, very excited. Let's get into what we're really here to talk about. Is Al Golden the Bengals' golden ticket? Mon, give us your first thoughts on the hire. I know we've talked it to death, but we got to actually talk it because it really happened.
Yeah, I hope he's Charlie from Willy Wonka and not Augustus.
All right.
I know that stuff. I'm old. Hey.
Hey.
No, listen, I'm happy with it. We needed a change. I'm happy, but at the same time, I have some reservations. Let's put it that way. Is he a good coach? Yeah, he's coached 2 major college programs, head coach. That's an accomplishment. He won at Temple, which is hard to do. He was at Miami, mixed results there, but he coached a major, Power 5, blue blood school in Miami. Not a head coach, but NFL coaching experience with the Lions and the Bengals. Went to Notre Dame. They played in the national championship game the other day. A lot of the players, a lot of the alumni tweeted today. They're really they're saying losing Golden is going to hurt Notre Dame. So, hey, it's a positive. He knows Zach Taylor. He knows the way the Bengals operate. You can interpret that both, different ways. Do we need somebody with a different voice or somebody with a different way to, to operate in Cincinnati, or do we need somebody that's a little comfortable and accepts the structure there? I think, you can get arguments on both sides, but is he going to be similar to Lou? Yeah, but I think he's going to bring in his own wrinkles. I think he's going to be a little more aggressive, and we'll see. I just hope he brings that physicality. He's definitely going to have a few new players this year and some draft picks, but that defensive roster is going to be pretty much the same as we had last year. Those young players have to take another step. Hopefully him and the people that he hired, the staff that he's going to hire, the defensive line coach, the linebacker coach, the assistants, I hope they come in and coach these young guys up, because we're really going to need them next year.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. First of all, Willy Wonka, I think released in 1971. Mon, you were in graduating high school. Is that?
The fact that Jake knows when Willy Wonka actually released.
I looked it up. I had to look it up.
You did.
I'm not taking credit for that. That was before my time. But
wait, you know how to look something up that quickly? But
Mon was a strapping young man with his bell bottoms on when Willy Wonka was released.
I was an extra in the movie. I was like the backup Augustus.
Al Golden, gentlemen, the golden ticket. Mon's right. I mean, Mon's 100% right. This is a guy who, again, I'm gonna say it. I was not originally excited about the hire, and I wasn't excited when we hired Lou either, and that worked out for us for the last.
Are you ever excited, Jake?
No. You know when I was excited? When we drafted Mims. That's when I was excited. No, I think the one thing about Al Golden is, he has experience, right? It's not maybe what some of us wanted, which was being a defensive coordinator at the NFL level. But he has been a coordinator. He was defense coordinator at Virginia for 4 or 5 years at University of Virginia. Obviously, like Mon said, he was head coach at Temple, then got the head coaching job at the University of Miami. That obviously did not work out really well for us that live down in Florida. We remember that. Obviously moved on to the NFL, Detroit Lions. He was with the Lions. He was with the Lions from 16 to 19. Started off as a tight ends coach and then worked his way to the linebacker room. And then obviously, fast forward to 20 and 21 in Cincinnati, where I said it on our show earlier this week. That was those 2 years pulled us out of a very dark time when it came to Bengals linebacker play. And really, Al Golden is the reason why Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson both got paid a lot of money recently. I think he's a hell of a linebackers coach, and I think he is a heck of a football coach too. The lack of experience, I think, is the one thing I'm a little concerned about, like most Bengal fans, I'm sure. But I will say that I loved hearing his presser. I love what he had to say. Zach Taylor obviously is putting basically his job on the line when it comes to hiring Al Golden. Seems like all the players are very excited about his return and everybody in the building. So, I really think, guys, that this was a situation where I think I text this in our text group, but I really think it was a situation where they basically told Al Golden, listen, if Lou gets hired as Arizona's head football coach, you're going to be our defensive coordinator. Obviously, it fell through with Lou, and Al went on to be the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. So I think this job has always been Al Golden's. Really, I believe that. I think we saw that, Mon, You kept saying it like, listen, it's already done, guys. It's Al Golden. I think this was a done deal, Mon, before the moment that Lou was fired, or even the time before Lou was fired. Zach Taylor knew who he's going to hire, right? I mean, he knew it was going to be Al Golden all along, Mon.
Yeah, I think he did. You're right. Some prominent beat writers mentioned that, how he was going to fill in if Lou took that job. You're right. And my only issue is this: I'm going to support him. I want him to succeed. I'm not rooting against him. He's going to be our defensive coordinator, and the key to the Bengals' success, the key to us going to a Super Bowl, is going to be him. It really is. And the key to Zach Taylor's future is in his hands. I was just thinking of an established person like a Dennis Allen, Eberflus, even Salah, somebody like that that's been a very prominent, successful NFL defensive coordinator. Because Zach Taylor, I'm sorry, he's on a short leash. He really is. After what happened last year, you have three of the best seasons by, you saw the nominations for player of the year, MVP, defensive player of the year. They're all Bengals, and so a lot of pressure on Zach Taylor. And I was thinking maybe he's going to take that established route. Let's go get a guy that has had top 5, top 10 defenses. But not saying that Al Golden can't do that, but that room's a little bare. I mean, there's some talent in that defensive room, but it's going to take a couple years to really rebuild it. And the staff that he hires is going to be key. It's going to be key. I expect a couple college guys to come in, because you know how the Bengals are. They do a lot of scouting for the draft. They're going to have a lot of say-so. And so I think that's another reason Al Golden was a no-brainer, because the Bengals are going to rely on his knowledge in the college ranks over the last 2 years to help them find the right players.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the thing that we're hearing about Al Golden is he is the hardest worker in the building, right? We've heard this whole week that, players remember him even as the linebackers coach, being there, the first one in the building at 5:30 in the morning. That's what you need, obviously, in a coordinator position, is a guy that's going to bust his ass year round. And I think that's what you're getting from Al Golden is a guy who puts his heart and soul into it. I mean, again, if he's showing up at the building at 5:30 in the morning, first one in, last one out type of thing, you want to have that in your DC. And we've heard a lot about him being like a no-nonsense, hard ass, basically. And that's another thing I think the Bengals really need. This is not a knock on Lou. I don't want to make this into a Lou bashing, but I think Lou kind of, I don't know. I think he got kind of stale. I think his voice kind of got stale, and I think he got complacent, to be honest with you. And you just can't do that at this level. I can tell you, my dad's very happy, because obviously my dad being a big Penn State fan, Al Golden played for Penn State, so my dad's happy about it. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel about it. Again, I do think after the situation with Lou in the beginning, I'm definitely going to give Al Golden the benefit of the doubt, because I didn't do that with Lou, and Lou ended up being a great defense coordinator for us for 5 years. I
got to step in there real quick. How many games, maybe I should say how many plays until we get the text that says this defense is trash? You're going to give them 2 games before you say that?
There's a preseason. There's
2 plays? No. All right. We had a good question from a young lady up in New England here, so I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Do you think Zach Taylor's buddy hire is the blind leading the blind? Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the elephant in the room. It's the elephant on the street. He hired his neighbor. He hired his friend. Is that going to be something that proves that Zach Taylor is the greatest talent evaluator ever, or is this going to be Zach Taylor's downfall? Mon, you go first. It's your family's question.
Olivia, Hurricanes just tied it. It's 2-2. Just like
Turn that off. You're doing a podcast.
It's a different game. That's what game. No, listen, I sent her the clip from Paul Dehner's article. I'm not trying to throw any shade at all at Al Golden, and I don't want our fans to think that we're upset about his hiring. I'm not. I want the man to succeed. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a little cringy reading the article. Not the way it was written. It was a greatly, wonderful written article. He had no agenda. He was just talking about how close Al Golden and Zach Taylor are. They actually have a house on the same street. He never moved from Cincinnati. He commuted back and forth when he could. His kids are still here. It was just Jake, you said it. I mean, Al Golden was the DC in waiting the whole time.
The whole time.
He was just getting a paycheck from another, institution. So I mean, there was really no other candidate. It was going to be him the whole time. And yeah, I mean, just reading the article and all. I mean, like I just harped on it a few minutes ago. This hire is so important to. My daughter knows I'm a Bengal fan. She's a little, this hire is so important to his future, to Zach Taylor's future, to Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, to the city of Cincinnati, to the people negotiating the stadium lease coming up. It's such a big hire. It really is. And
you're 100% right. And I think that's the question is right. We've talked about this on the show is there's definitely this buddy thing going on in Cincinnati, and it feels like it's been going on forever. Right. I mean, even back in the days where, we were hiring the Bruce Kozlitz and the Dave Shulas and, I mean, I know Dick LeBeau is a Hall of Fame defense coordinator, but, even you can go back for years and years with the Brown family, and that's just how they do business, right? It's a very buddy thing. And now that's, I mean, Al Golden is Zach Taylor's next door neighbor. Like if Zach Taylor needs sugar or milk, he literally goes right next door and knocks on Al Golden's door.
I think he's calling DoorDash. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's very odd. I think the whole situation is really weird, to be honest with you. But I mean, we'll see if it works. Zach Taylor, obviously, he's got to know that he is on a very short leash, like you said, Mon. I mean, this hire is going to determine if Zach Taylor is the Bengals head football coach in 25 and beyond. I mean, I'm not wishing that. I really want Al Golden to succeed because I want the Bengals to win. I really don't care who's calling plays as long as we're winning. But I think the buddy thing is a little odd, and the next door neighbor thing's a little odd. But I mean, it is what it is. The players are next door neighbors. I mean, we remember when Jamar got drafted, he literally went door to door, knocking on people's door, trying to live close to Joe Burrow. So maybe that's what Al Golden did. Went door to door, trying to move next to Zach Taylor. I do want to go back to what you said, Mon, about I do think that they are looking forward to maybe Al Golden having a say because. Guys, let's be real. This is going to be another heavy defensive draft for the Bengals, right? I mean, I think we can all agree there's definitely going to be an interior offensive lineman taken, depending on what happens with the T. Higgins situation. But for the most part, this is going to be another heavy defensive draft, Mon. And, you could see some Notre Dame players in stripes come draft night. I don't know. I do think that Al Golden's strength is developing young players. And we all know that is not Lou's strength because we saw it this year, Mom.
Yeah, it's going to be a team effort. Somebody mentioned it earlier. Dan Pitcher, they think we're nitpicking a little bit. Dan Pitcher was on the staff when he got the natural promotion up. Al Golden was gone for a couple years, and this is a unique situation, missing the playoffs 2 years in a row. after these, astronomical performances by three of the top players in the NFL. And for us not to make the playoffs, that's where I thought they were going to go maybe with a more established defensive coordinator. But hey, Al Golden, definitely, guys, we got to be real. The bar's low. Okay. The defense was was pretty putrid this year. If he gets him up in the 18s to 20s, we're going to win 4 more games. All right. So I think this is going to be a process. I think they're going to be better this year. I think in 2 years is really going to be, what is Al Golden? Is he going to have a top 12, top 10 defense? We'll find out in a couple years. I do want to say this. Complementary football is huge. Do you want to help Al Golden out? Zach Taylor, you want to help him out? Let me ask you guys a really quick question. If Joe Burrow had 500 yet less yards passing this year, 500 less yards, but the Bengals had 450 more rushing yards. If Joe Burrow had 5 less TDs, but we ran for 5 more TDs, I think we'd have 3 more wins. All right. I really think we would. It's complementary football. Run it a little bit more. When we have to run it in these games where we're up by double digits, we have to find a way to run the game, to run the ball to close out those games. We can't do that. So if we evolve a little bit more on offense, I know it sounds crazy saying that, I think it would help the defense and we'd be in the playoff.
Yeah. And T. Brookie, let me say this real quick, Eric. T. Brookie, we are not disrespecting this hire. We're not disrespecting it. I'm just saying that him being Zach's next door neighbor is a little odd. That's all. It's an odd situation. I'm not disrespecting. I don't think he was hired because he's Zach's next door neighbor. I hope that wasn't the case. I'm just saying it's a very odd situation. Yes, he's a hell of a defensive coordinator for Notre Dame. He turned that unit around. Probably the best defense in the country this year in the FBS. But again, I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying it's a little weird. And I want to say this too, Eric, really quick. I know we got to move on, but, for the ones, again, who feel like maybe Lou got the shaft a little bit, today they released the awards, and we had – it's crazy when your wide receiver's up for Offensive Player of the Year, your quarterback is up for MVP and Offensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year, and your edge rusher is up for Defensive Player of the Year, and you're sitting at home watching the playoffs. Guys, that's why Lou Anarumo is now the defense coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. Just one final thing to add on the buddy thing. Let's hope that they're not neighbors, and that's why he picked him to be, the coach. I don't think that's the case. I think what it is they've got a great working relationship, much like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and they are neighbors because of that. Al Golden chose to live next to him because they have those good relationships. We need a great working relationship with the offensive coordinator, head coach, and defensive coordinator. We need them to be able to have that type of bond for Zach to say, what the hell are you doing? Get that guy out of there, or to have a little bit of say on that. And the only thing that I'll say, the last point on the buddy thing, when Mon and Jake were looking for an executive producer, I don't know how many people they interviewed, but I think they picked their buddy, and that worked out pretty good. So
yeah. We had the guy we wanted is in jail, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Multiple interviews, Eric. Multiple interviews. Listen,
they'll turn you down.
This is a Bengal thing, right? This is a Bengal thing. And somebody said it earlier about Dan Pitcher. It was the same type of thing, right? Dan Pitcher was in.
Well, and Dan Pitcher was, sorry to just jump in, Dan Pitcher is Joe Burrow's boy. So that's why he got the job. But that works.
Yeah, he was the guy in waiting, though, right? Is the Bengals always have – it's like they always have somebody in waiting. They never go outside the box, I guess. I think that's where a lot of people's frustration comes from.
But like a good coach, a good leader, it doesn't matter what line of work. If you're not – like a fire chief of the fire department, if you're not grooming your administrative staff to potentially be a chief,
you're right.
What are you doing here? So the head coach is doing that also. And Zach Taylor has a coaching tree. Hey man, I salute it. That's fine. The article was just weird. I didn't realize they were that close. It's like, man, did they really, were they thorough in this search, or is it just, I don't know, but I just want to say one thing. Replacing the defensive coordinator was something that needed to happen. That is only part of the solution. You know what the other part is? You don't let a quality player leave and replace them with somebody 3 tiers below. We have
Agreed.
got to learn those lessons. Our front office, they have got to set this staff up to succeed. They got to do a better job doing that, especially on the defensive side.
For sure. When we got a few other things to talk about here, and not a lot of time to do it. They started to fill out the defensive staff. Jerry Montgomery was hired for the defensive line coach. For those that haven't heard, Ace and Zim had Mike Daniels on last night. He was so hyped about this hire. Spent some time with him, I believe, in Green Bay. If you guys have a chance, go listen to that, because a lot of good background information on what that coach is going to bring. Why don't you guys give us your thoughts on Jerry Montgomery as a defensive line coach? Jake?
I love it. I love it. I mean, obviously, I didn't know much about him until the hire. But listen, and obviously, if you guys have not watched Ace and Zim's show from yesterday when they had Mike Daniels, obviously a guy that played D-line for Jerry Montgomery in Green Bay. He basically worked with the defensive front in Green Bay from 15 to 23. So 2015 to 2023, he had some kind of job with that defensive front, being the D-line coach from 18 to 23. So, and listen, he developed a lot of talent on that defensive line. Again, I think this is a situation where the Bengals are looking for coaches that can develop young talent, right? That has been the thorn in our side. It's been it with the offensive line. It's been it with the defensive line. So what do the Bengals do? They go out and get 2 new line coaches to develop young players in the trenches. Because listen, guys, the Bengals are about to spend a ton of money on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I mean, you're talking about almost $70 million probably going to 2 players. So what does that mean? That means the Bengals have got to hit a home run in this draft, whether it's interior offensive linemen or defensive linemen, interior or at the edge. They need coaches that can develop young talent, because that is what the struggle has been. Again, guys, Jerry Montgomery, this guy has been coaching at some level. Well, we'll start in college. Since 2005, he's been coaching in college. He's been the D-line coach or defensive coordinator every place he's been, guys, which is, I'll throw some out, Northern Iowa, Wyoming, Indiana, Michigan, Oklahoma, Green Bay, and in New England last year. This guy has coached the defensive line everywhere he's been. This is a home run hire. Just like with Peters, this Montgomery hire, to me, guys, is an absolute grand slam. I love it. And what do you do to help Al Golden? Mon, you talked about it earlier. You get him good players. You also get him good coaches. And hopefully that's what the Bengals are trying to do, is surround him with talented coaches.
Yeah, obviously, I think the Bengals are going to allow Al Golden to pick his own staff. I mean, there's some coaches out there that don't do that. I think Al Golden is going to have total say-so. Montgomery, the one thing I like about him, reading his bio that really caught me, he spent 9 years with the Green Bay Packers. That's impressive. Yep. Under 3 different head coaches.
Yep.
So when a head coach comes in, he wants his own guy. He survived 3 coaches. So that tells you right there, he's a quality coach, because he was hired by Dom Capers. When Dom Capers left, the coach that took over kept him. And then LaFleur, is that his name? The new coach, he stayed on his staff. So, for a new coach to come in and bring in his own flavor and to bring in his own staff, his own vision, he liked Montgomery and he kept him. So a lot of speculation. Are they going to bring in a pass rush specialist to work with him? Because I guess he focused on the interior defensive line.
Yes.
We were talking before, me and Eric, I think the Bengals are going to hire 5 more coaches, because we have six, not counting the offensive coordinator, we have six other offensive assistants or position coaches. Right now, we only have three. I'm sorry, we have nine offensive coaches, position coaches, and assistants. We only have three defensive assistants right now, not counting Al Golden. So the Bengals are going to be hiring quite a few guys. It's going to be interesting if I'm not saying this is going to happen. Graham it doesn't look like he's going to get a job with the Jaguars. Maybe they could hire him as a defensive consultant, something like the Bengals had a couple of them. Who was the guy they like? What was his name? Like the linebacker coach, Mark Duffner. Yeah, he can maybe fill in Mark Duffner's spot. That would be interesting, something to monitor. But there's going to be a few more hiring linebacker coach. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the cornerbacks. Are they going to survive? Is Charlie Burke going to survive? But Montgomery's a good start. But the linebacker position coach and all the others, it's going to be interesting to see who they are.
And listen. We went out. We got the the Patriots O-line coach. We got their D-line coach. Why not just get Jerron Mayo and make him the linebackers coach? I mean, home run.
Well,
I wanted Mayo. I thought Mayo could be a good defensive coordinator candidate, although he hasn't DC'd before. But I liked him as a defensive coordinator. Why not hire him? Bring him on. Why not make him a linebacker?
Paul Daner did say that they are talking to a linebacker coach now. Didn't say the name, obviously. He says, but they're trying to iron it out. So what is that? I mean, could it be a bigger name guy? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, in Golden that's what he coached when he was here before. And look at the success that guys like Marcus Bailey and, Hakeem Davis-Gaither, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, our linebackers were the reason that team was so good. And so even if he's not coaching them, he's going to bring that to the table, and it should help.
Well, when the Bengals hired Lou Anarumo, he had limited experience as a defensive coordinator. And so what did they do? They did hire Duffner. Duffner, longtime NFL coach, spent time as a defensive coordinator. So another guy to bounce ideas off.
Yeah.
Did they potentially do that for Al Golden? We'll see. But overall, man, it's been an exciting week for the Bengals. And, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, we're not hearing Mayo's name being thrown around for all these defensive coordinator jobs. So, I mean, I think it definitely would be. I definitely think it'd be interesting to see if Mayo could be on their radar. Like I said, I'm a Mayo fan. I really am. I don't think the guy got any help at all in New England. They gave him 1 year in New England, and they gave him a very bad roster. Again, you look at Peters and you look at Montgomery, the two coaches we just hired. They weren't given very much to work with, along with Mayo. So, listen, Mayo to me is a heck of a football coach. He beat us. So
yeah, for him to come down as a position coach would be tough, though. I mean, I would love to see it. To go from head coach to a position coach would be. They would have to grease it.
I agree, Mom, but we're not hearing his name being thrown around for a coordinator position. You know what I mean? He's not. Yeah. I don't even know if he's gotten interviewed for a coordinator position. I haven't seen his name at all. So. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, it's stranger things have happened. Robert Saleh got fired. The next day, he was on the Green Bay sideline as a consultant. If you've got a passion for the game and you don't want to leave the game, you'll go where you need to go to make sure that you don't lose that.
Wasn't Vrabel a consultant last year when he got fired?
Remember Hugh Jackson? Remember Hugh Jackson was fired by the Browns. He coached the Bengals the next week on the sideline. Remember that, Hugh Jackson?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Vrabel was on the Brown staff. Mike Vrabel was on the Brown staff, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but I think he was just a consultant, though. I don't think he was.
Yeah, but he was there, and he was wearing. I remember. Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to coach. If you want to coach, you'll go coach the Edmonton Oilers. You'll go where you need to go. It is what it is.
They're the Green Bay Packers of hockey, all right? They got the best fan base. It's something else.
Wait, the Bengals have the best fan base. Get out of here.
I'm talking hockey. I'm talking hockey.
Yeah, You get out of here, you hoser.
Well,
That's the closest. That's a northern curse word for you.
it is going to be interesting, guys, to see what trickles down from this Al Golden hire, and if he, if he is going to hire any of his guys that he might want as well. So I don't know. Be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I got we got to get out of here. We didn't want to do a super long show tonight, but we wanted to give you guys Mon and Jake's opinions on it. Just a couple last tidbits on Golden. He is a sports psychology major, and that's, I think, in the master's in sports psychology. That's huge. These guys are very, very talented. The difference between a good coach and a great coach is being able to deal with different personalities and motivate guys that aren't motivated necessarily by normal stuff. They've got millions of dollars in their pocket. So having someone that knows psychology and that can go in and help motivate young, rich men to win a meaningless football game, that's huge to me. Any final thoughts on that, or any final thoughts on them?
Eric, they have 25 defensive players on the roster, and we're not counting the practice squad. If you say 25, 17, 18 of the guys from last year are going to be on this roster coming up. You're going to have a few draft picks, some free agents, maybe an undrafted free agent or a practice squatter. The success of Al Golden has to be his sports psychology, his coaching, his staff. They have got to coach up the existing players. Everybody that started, everybody that was on that roster has to play a little bit better next year. They have to take it up a notch. If he can do that, the Bengals will be in the playoffs and they'll be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. We cannot expect Joe Burrow to have the superhuman stats he had this year. He's going to have phenomenal stats, but this year is really special. MVP talk. So our defense has to play better. They have to. And I think complementary football, Golden said that. There's an interview on Bengals.com. That's so important, so true. The offense can help the defense out a lot. And I think that they got to figure it out, and I think they will. I'm bullish on the Bengals. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was well said. I mean, listen, I think the biggest thing, guys, is the Bengals have got to hit a home run with this draft. We have got to start giving these coaches more talent to work with, and not just when I say the talent, I'm talking about from free agency. And the coaches have got to do a better job, developing these players. And again, I think that's why we're seeing these hires of guys that have history of developing young players.
Not to throw a wrench in, we're just going to stretch it out a little bit, but this question just popped into my head because we only need the defense to be a little bit better this year. If Al Golden was coaching the 2024 Bengals defense, do we make the playoffs, Mon?
I'm going to say yes. I will. I think we'll get one more game. I think we would, because I think he would. Can I elaborate just for a couple seconds?
Go ahead. That's what we want.
When Sam Hubbard is hurt and not giving you anything, when Rankins when he was healthy, not giving you anything, when Geno Stone is really struggling, I don't think he would keep on trotting those guys out. Yeah. I think he would take chances with rookies or second-year players that don't really know the system that well. He would take a couple mistakes from them because, you know what, with those mistakes, he's at least getting something positive out of them. Because you got to admit it, Hubbard was hurt and wasn't giving us anything, guys. So I think, yes, I think we would have, just because of that.
Jake?
Listen, I'm going to say yes, maybe not for the same reason that Mon is saying yes, but this season was just so crazy anyways. And, I mean, the Bengals were really a couple plays away here and there. Maybe a fresh mind would have, again, I don't want to blame the KC loss on DeJohn Anthony, but maybe he's not on the field on the biggest play of the game. Again, not blaming him for the loss, but I don't know. I just think there were some decisions made. And I will say agree with Mon as well. I think there were some players that should not have been on the field when they were. And, it's always nice to have a fresh take, and maybe Al Golden would have brought that fresh take. It's hard to say, but with the way the season went, I'm going to say yes, because it was just a crazy season and so many crazy things happen. And one play, the Bengals were literally one play away from making the playoffs. Not one game, one play away from making the playoffs. So you never know. You never know if that fresh voice could have changed a play here and there. But, again, I wish Lou the best. But the reason why Lou is no longer in Cincinnati is because of what we have covered over and over and over. Not playing young guys, keeping these guys out there when they're not 100% healthy, putting guys in bad positions to make plays, and just a no development of these young players. And we are where we are right now with it. And I am going to be excited about Al Golden because he's in stripes. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I didn't do it with Lou, and I've learned my lesson from that. So I am on the Golden train. Hopefully everything works out and we get this thing turned around. That's another edition of the Bengals Pulse, guys. As always, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. As always, follow Mon on Twitter at @TheFireMon. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow the Cincinnati Podcast Network on Twitter at Cincinnati Pod. As always, guys, follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9. The same on Instagram without the @Bengals_Pulse9. And as always, guys, make sure you check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Cincinnati Podcast Network. He is Eric. He is Mon. I'm Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse.
See you guys.
Fans, we will talk to you next week.